Inside PressBox is presented by Live Casino and Hotel. Always live, always on. And welcome into Inside PressBox. Stan the Fan Charles here with my co-host, Mr. Gary Stein, and we've got a fascinating guest lineup in store this week.
Absolutely true, Stan. Everything from the educational purpose of sports to cartoons. Let's get to it. Most experts felt that the state of Maryland wouldn't potentially legalize sports gambling until 2020. Now, recent news out of Annapolis may put this issue front and center on your ballot this coming November. PressBox gaming writer Bill Ordine has more on that later in the show. And you've seen his work on the show in the PressBox print edition and the Baltimore Sun. We'll go inside the mind of PressBox cartoonist Mike Brasiliano.
But first, as the business of youth sports continues to grow, how are sports impacting kids' human development? Our first guest is a co-founder of the InSideOut Initiative, which aims to create systemic change in school communities and alter the way success is defined. It's a pleasure to welcome back in former Colts defensive lineman Joe Ehrmann. Just found that out about you from your days at Syracuse.
Well, great to be with you. And let me just thank you. Just like this, what you're doing tonight, just thank you for the service you provide to Baltimore sports community and the city. So I'm very pleased to be here.
We appreciate it. When you played football at Syracuse University and then played in the pros, did you have any idea that this is what the master plan was for Joe Ehrmann to work on these sorts of initiatives?
No, I was just trying to get to meetings on time at that point in my life. Had no idea the platform that was laid before me, the path that I would follow, but I'm thrilled where I am.
Was there a seminal moment? Did something happen in Joe Ehrmann's life to make him a lot more serious about the impact he could have on other people?
In '78, I watched my brother die of cancer up at Hopkins Hospital. I read a book, Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, a concentration camp survivor. And Frankl said the greatest of all human freedoms is the ability to choose how you're going to respond to whatever life has dealt you. And no matter what life deals you, you can find meaning in it and you can add value to others. And I think that's kind of what I've tried to do, take my life, find meaning in it, and add value to it.
Well, Joe, that brings me to the next question, which is a perfect segue. And we just found out that you're working with pretty much every Baltimore City high school sports teams to kind of give them some meaning and value and kind of change the way that their administrators look at sports and how they view sports. Baltimore City kids do have a lot of challenges in their life. So talk about the Inside Out Initiative and what you're doing in Baltimore City.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I met with Steve Bisciotti and Dick Cass. Told them about a model that we've been working with nationally, and what if we brought this to Baltimore City? So they agreed, they funded it. Dick Cass and I met with Dr. Santelice, the school board CEO. We've met with the school board. So the goal is to transform sports from extracurricular to co-curricular. The question is, why do we even have sports in high school today? So on one end, Time Magazine had a cover story about 4 months ago about the $15 billion professionalized youth sport industry. That is $15 billion. That is an industry that's run by adults to meet the needs of adults at the expense of kids. It's all about performance. On the other end, you have college, professional, sports, and in between you have this little slice education base. Why do we have sports as part of education if they're not going to be about the human growth and development of young people? How do we reclaim that in America today?
You know, I lived in Durham, North Carolina for about 4 years, and I got to brush elbows with Coach K there. And one of the things one day at a press conference, he suddenly started talking about youth sports. And he talked about when Billy comes home from having played, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, they always ask, how did you do? Not did you have a good time? Did you enjoy yourself? I know that's a simplified version of what you're trying to get across.
Yeah, it's really about the development of character, two kinds of character. There's performance character. Performance character has to do with relationship to self. So things like grit, self-determination, overcoming obstacles, those are built into American sports. The problem is that just about every study shows that the longer you play sports in America, the higher levels you attain, the more morally and ethically callous you become. Moral character has to do with relationship to other human beings, trust, respect, kindness, empathy, moral courage. That's what needs to be developed. That's what's going to take kids into the 21st century. We live in this win-at-all-cost mentality where success is defined by the scoreboard as opposed to the impact on student-athletes' lives.
So, Joe, let me ask you. A famous man once said, Vince Lombardi, that winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And, of course, he did that, 30, 40 years ago. But my question is, and that filters on down, on down to the colleges, on down to the high schools, to the Pop Warners, et cetera. Are you meeting with resistance when you bring this program out?
Not really. I think with Lombardi's statement, you have to redefine what winning is.
Yeah.
So the goal of sports is to win. You play, plan, prepare to win. And winning and losing is where all the life lessons are. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to connect kids to caring adults with ought to be coaches in their learning community for their human growth and development. So the goal is to win, but it's not the purpose. The purpose needs to be how we define success.
Joe, thanks for coming in tonight.
That's awesome.
It really hit home with what's going on in college basketball right now, with right in the middle of March Madness, and we see what's going on with these coaches. The morality is just, it's not there.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Thank you very much, Joe.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. After the break, PressBox gaming writer Bill Ordine looks at the possibility of legal sports wagering coming to Maryland. Keep it here for more Inside PressBox.
And every Saturday from 10 to 12, Stan the Fan has a baseball live stream broadcast where he bats around all manner of baseball topics. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio and watch on Facebook Live. And it's brought to you by Big Bets Cafe, located at the first exit over the Bay Bridge. It's like visiting Cooperstown, only with food. Check them out at BigBets.com.
Royal Farms' world-famous chicken has been ranked #1 in Food and Wine magazine. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast. Inside PressBox is presented by Live Casino and Hotel. Always live, always on.